As I sit here, I reflect how many times in every day I use the word I. It might be the most commonly used word around the world. But what is my experience of this word I? The foundation of my life, the center of my universe is this word. Everything rests on the experience of the self, I. When someone asks me, "Who are you?" what do I answer? Perhaps I give a name. Perhaps I give an occupation. Perhaps I even give a relationship. I frame myself relative to the outer world and even temporal things, things that come and go. But the truth is defined as that which is eternal, not temporary. To have a timeless sense of self that transcends the ever-changing physical realm. That would be the truth of who I am. Would not be physical, would not be temporary, not even relative to what is temporary. Something deep and unchanging. We say I am a soul, an eternal spark of living energy, separate from the body. To honestly sit with that experience will change the foundation of my life, will reframe everything in my world. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Good evening and welcome to Interview with the Raj Yogi. Thank you for your patience. We are trying to address some technical issues. And so tonight's topic is absorbing the truth of who I am. And yes, that was a very a relevant commentary in terms of how we use that word I. For the regular students, it's very interesting with this morning's class that perhaps it's a parallel in terms of everything that we learn in life, but there's a very specific knowledge that we are learning in the study about being a soul. It's quite interesting that if I'm not in that right consciousness, even if I'm trying to listen to it, how I speak to myself, um, it might not necessarily go in. So, my question to you, Sister Judy, is in terms of absorbing what, I mean, we take it for granted. You mentioned about that, this word I, we use it all the time. Is there, is there any indicators that I could actually be in the right paradigm while I'm listening? Because it's challenging if you're waiting for the results and you've been making effort, you've been practicing, and you're trying to absorb. It's just like any other, even just physical fitness, you're making effort and then you wait till an injury happens. Ideally, it'd be nice to know if there's indicators along the way. In this aspect of indicators, I am actually, you know, in that right consciousness. Is there some things I can check ahead of time, perhaps?
Om Shanti. Well, Om Shanti is an indicator. So, one that we're given is we literally is spoken of as a measuring stick, a thermometer, is the happiness meter. So, it said the mercury of happiness will rise. So, checking my happiness or lightness, temperature, if you will, um, my peace and happiness will start to stabilize if I'm absorbing properly. What I liked about the lesson this morning is it looked at two things that will shift very naturally. It was said your intellect will open. So it's important to understand that the intellect doesn't really think the way the mind does. So I can try and use my mind to think my way into a certain kind of feeling. And so that gets a little deceptive. But actually, the intellect doesn't really work that way when it's online. It just does two things: it feels and sees. And when we say see, we mean understand. So these two things will shift very naturally. If I'm taking things into the intellect, if it's absorbing, I will very naturally feel differently, very light, very easy about what's going on, whatever's happening. I'll also understand things or see things a little differently than I did before. So checking my happiness meter and seeing if these two aspects, how I feel and see or understand, are those naturally shifting, not by thinking my way into a different understanding or thinking my way. It just happens very naturally.
I don't know if, in a way, it's sort of a moot question, but it seems like we don't even notice if we feel ordinary. We might even equate it to feeling okay or fine. And do I then build up a sensitivity then that there's a very big difference from feeling peaceful and feeling okay, which is ordinary?
We use the word ordinary or even normal, and part of the issue is what we have normalized to is quite, if you will, abnormal without insulting. So many people are moving through the day with quite a high level of anxiety. And we've normalized this just as when we move through the day with physically not great posture, and the body is giving out signals of pain, but we've become a bit numb to it. So the body's always in some level of pain at this point, but we've become very numb to it or learned how to hide it through medication or through props. For example, we have a pillow back here. So to be able to first wake up to what my starting point really is a very good sign. If I sort of start to notice where I'm starting from, that means my sensibilities. So this word normal or ordinary I find very interesting. But the more time that we spend quiet, and I know that's a major leap already, but I'd have to be quite intentional. And something that Raj Yoga proposes, again, that these other states are not what we call ordinary or normal, actually isn't, is that to be quiet, to be spiritual, is our normal or ordinary state. So I have to kind of go into this with that faith. Otherwise, we feel, I'm not sure what I'm doing, I'm not sure what the technique is. And I have to, having that faith or trust alone goes a far, far way. So, yes, you do know how to concentrate and be quiet and still and simple. We know all of this. That was our normal or ordinary state. I have to kind of be open to that. And it's amazing how slowly, with patience, I start to get there. And when I'm quiet, then I become more sensitive to what's going on inside.
Relevant to what you're sharing, I was speaking to someone earlier this week. There's this concept in physical fitness you probably know much more than I do about no pain, no gain. And it does feel like it can also come up in terms of the spiritual study. Maybe you're pushing harder, maybe you're racing through your thoughts, or even what you talked about. And maybe it might not necessarily look violent, but I could think my way to a certain feeling. So if I'm feeling I need to get into a certain state inside so that I can absorb the truth. So if I'm in a place that feels very ordinary, do you have any sort of personal experiences, personal in terms of what you have felt within yourself and practicing to shift from something so ordinary? Because I think many of us feel that when things are so profound, it's very profound. But when you're feeling ordinary, it kind of feels kind of numb inside. And just to move out of that space, that it's in an accurate way, a meaningful way.
As we were sharing now, I was remembering when I had a bike accident and I'm lying on the ground. And so I was forced to be still by falling off a bike. It was a gift. And at that moment, being still, I actually could feel what we're calling it. We're not numb at all, actually. We're numb to certain things, but we actually have quite elevated, as I say, anxiety or racing or stress. It's amazing with souls. They're not sleeping at night. So these are some signs, but I suddenly could feel that. And luckily, knowing what tool, if you will, or where to go with my mind. Now, earlier today, I was listening to a class, and it's very interesting. We have a variety of techniques available to us to try and address the so-called numb or normal, I would suggest anxious state. But the one tool that is completely guaranteed to work, we're not so adept at. So we like to do things around virtues and values and mindfulness, etc. What Raj Yoga focuses on a lot, and I think where you're going with this whole topic in terms of absorption is to really focus completely on who I am and who I belong to, because that is the remedy. So having to just take all the energy that I'm using to try to look at other methods and to just focus all my energy on this simple, simple thing of I am a soul and I do have an eternal connection to the Supreme Soul that I need to awaken. That's it. Um, that to me is the remedy. That's what I want to unthaw, if you will, be not numb to, not, our energy will go all over the place because, and that will continue even once I receive the lesson because there's a lot of opposition to doing something so simple. But time and again, I have to be quite determined. This is what I want to focus all of my energy on, take it from these other places and focus on feeling that.
Perhaps, and it connects to then that I must enjoy or love doing this.
Well, what we've got as an assumption, some might say, I think it's a fact, but maybe an assumption, is that we actually are souls. So it's going to be extremely enjoyable returning to the self. At times, it might feel there might be doubts or it might feel like nothing's going on, I'm not sure, because of the opposition. And the opposition might even try to convince me that I don't enjoy this. It's too hard. But, you know, such a beautiful description is given of the soul. And, you know, it's described as a stage of highest dignity, that we are no longer defined by the color of our skin or the size of the body or anything like this. It's such a beautiful state. So I have to connect to the significance of what it means to say I'm a soul for it to be really deeply enjoyable. And that's a beautiful process as well, to unpack this tiny little point. I am a soul, so much significance packed into that. I would dare to say whatever issue you might be facing is covered in the significance of saying I am a soul, eternally a child of the Supreme Soul.
You know, this topic was making me think about this word functional. I know there is this aspect of functional fitness. I'm not sure exactly what that entails, but there's something else called functional medicine. But at least to my knowledge, when I hear about it, is like whatever I'm learning and whatever I'm learning, it has to be applied in sort of like a real life setting. And so it really came to mind in terms of this topic about absorbing. And because of this aspect of consciousness, even when you were talking about it, is it possible that I can disconnect the significance from the experience? Like, could I just, the implications of being a soul means I am eternal? And, it could just list off a bunch of points, but it's not really functional.
I think something that I found really useful is what am I looking for? As an example, I was very interested in self respect. If I can connect soul consciousness to the thing I'm personally interested in, then I think it will have a lot of meaning for me, whether it's improved relationship or improved creativity or more personal dignity or freedom from the past. I need to kind of connect it to the thing that I'm actually, not that people are listing for me. We call this grinding my own ingredients. What is it in it for me? What's personally meaningful to me? Um, and that somehow makes it very sober and real once it's connected or translated into a language I understand. What's the attainment for me?
I think I find that very useful. And hopefully we can, well, at least I would like to to pay more attention to that. Perhaps we'll have a little reflection.
One of the benefits of spirituality is efficiency. It's a very efficient way of living. When I look at how I have been conducting my life, when I think I am physical, I have to go into so much expansion to feel even remotely close to contentment. Surround myself with people and things and be careful about places and purpose and position. So much is required for me to feel a little bit okay. But in spirituality, so efficient. Just need a point. Everything is fulfilled in one place. Spiritual awareness. Through that single experience, I am a soul separate from the body. I do truly belong to the Supreme Soul. My deepest relationship is with that being. Just in that single awareness, there's an ocean of fulfillment. If I allow myself the time and space to explore, to unpack the point, I will be able to enjoy the efficiency and power of spirituality in my day-to-day life. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you for joining with us this evening. Thank you, Sister Judy. I did find it was very practically useful. And so just a warm reminder, our next Learn About Meditation session at the Academy happens on the last Saturday of this month. That's July 26th, 12:15 to 1:30 p.m. And again, we do have these new drop-in evening meditation sessions taking place at the Academy as well on Thursdays, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And we have a few changes with the Inner Freedom program. So hopefully we'll be able to have that available on the website for souls. I don't think I know enough about these changes before I say something that's wrong. But we have a lot of drop-in sessions on site and online. So please feel free to visit our website, and we would love to have you join us. Thank you for joining. Om Shanti.